And welcome back to the Box One Podcast, where we talk everything from the college world to the NBA world, as well as I dabble in a little bit of the NBA draft talk. And today we have a little bit different of an episode. If you're here on the YouTube side of things, you can actually see the visuals in front of me. We're going to be talking Kentucky basketball today. That is one of my teams. A little bit weird for myself. I'm a Kentucky Houston Rockets, and the draft's coming around, so I do have some Steelers gear on today, but a little bit different video. My team currently, if you're somewhat of a college basketball fan, you've always known the Kentucky. They have a certain standard. They're one of the blue bloods, you'll call it. They're always supposed to be good. Essentially, you're not supposed to ever have a year where Kentucky is not one of the better teams in the world of college basketball. And lo and behold, unfortunately, that's kind of what we have right now. We're in a down period. Coach Calipari left. Whether that was the right decision or not, fans wanted him gone. He ultimately decided to leave, and now we are stuck here with the Mark Pope era. And I won't say it's all his fault. I think there's definitely a lot of different issues, but currently this team is not very good. If you can see like I said, the visuals in front of me. Not a lot of big names, not a lot of household names coming back to this team. Kentucky fans will know the big name Malachi Moreno, a former 4-star, 5-star in-state McDonald's All-American. Ultimately, did take the starting position at the center position last year, but that's kind of all we have. That's kind of all we have returning. Cam Williams is coming back. A little bit disappointing to start out the year. His shot selection wasn't the greatest, but coming back from, I won't say really coming back yet, but starting to find his role. He did ultimately then he found a starting role later on in the beginning of the season. Started shooting it pretty well. I think he had a game with maybe like 8 threes earlier on before conference play. I can't remember exactly the team now, but I know he did have a game where he got really hot. Really started to find his own groove, mesh with the starting five, lengthy 6'8" defender. Then he breaks his foot in a freak accident. You think he was just shooting a free throw and then running back on defense, and then next thing you know, he had a broken foot. So that's very interesting. He's coming back next year. That's probably our most exciting prospect outside of Malachi Moreno. Trent Noah is also coming back. The Arkansas killer last year. He had a big three, and then quieted the crowd. Not the biggest fan of Trent Noah. Personally, I don't think a lot of Kentucky fans really are expecting a lot from Trent Noah. This is a guy that's probably just going to be filling out the roster once again. He can shoot it. He's not really, the numbers haven't reflected. He's a good shooter. You need those guys to fill out the roster. But now going to this next year, there's a couple guys that we did not see. They were on roster. Braden Hawthorne, one of the bigger ones. He's going to be really interesting. I think he came into college listed at 6'6", 175. Rumors have it he did sprout up, I think, close to somewhere around 6'8". Maybe he's put on close to, I heard, 190 recently, maybe 195. Kind of similar with a Adu Thiero situation, I feel like, a couple years ago, where Adu ultimately played his freshman year, but we all know that growth spurt he had. I think he came in as a 3-star initially. Braden Hawthorne was a late riser. I think he ultimately was like 37th on ESPN once it all was said and done. He has a lot of potential. He just didn't have the size, I don't think, yet to play in the SEC. He beefed up, and he's coming back. That'll be interesting. We'll touch on it a little bit more on him in a second. And the last returner is Reese Potter. I think he transferred in from Miami, Ohio. Unfortunate for him. He's from Kentucky, so it's probably cool for him to still be at Kentucky. But Miami, Ohio would have played a lot this year, and they were a really good team. But he's a 7-footer, a little bit of this newer age. People want to call it a unicorn. Air quotes, not really a unicorn anymore. This is 7-footer that will step outside and shoot the ball a little bit. Just I see him more of like a stretch 4, even though he's probably 7 foot, 7'1". I don't know if he's going to play. He might be basically just a bench buddy again this year. Maybe he does play a little bit. As so signs, we have not really recruited too well this year. Not really big expectations for Reese Potter, another guy that's great to have on the bench. Like I said, Kentucky guy, somebody to fill out the rotation. I'm going to swing back here now to Malachi Moreno. I completely forgot about this. This is a guy that's currently testing the draft waters. Could potentially be gone. If he is gone, I'm looking in the camera, we're man. Next year it's gonna suck. It's gonna be rough. If he's gone next year, it's gonna be rough. I have big plans for him. I see him developing somewhat of a little bit more of a post game next year. I think he definitely has the ability to maybe jump up to 13, 14 points, maybe 8.5 rebounds, maybe 2 blocks, 2.1 blocks, 2.2 blocks. And I knew NBA scouts would. This is what they were going to do if he did end up going to the draft this year. I don't know if Mark Pope wants to focus on too many different things. I don't know if who's on the coaching staff at this point for shooting wise, but as everybody knows, I mean, his free throws, he's like a cannonball type of release. I don't know if maybe they can fix that a little bit. Maybe he can get that jump shot up to maybe attempting like 50 of them in a year. I don't know if you really want him to shoot that many, but 1.3, 1.4 roughly per year, almost 1.5 threes a game per year, or next year. I mean, that'd be really nice if he could step out and stretch the floor a little bit. I think that's really going to complement a couple of these next guys. But he's kind of really the only returner that's really worth anything essentially next year. Like that's the valued name. It's gonna be interesting. One big name, I guess, the only recruit that high school recruit that we really brought in up until a couple days ago. Mo Williams, a name that I think some people probably remember. Former Cavaliers guard. I think he was a one-time All-Star with LeBron. I think he was part of that 16 championship 3-1 comeback. Either way, his son here, he was committed to Jackson State. Mo was coaching at Jackson State. Kentucky essentially offered him the father-son combo deal. Mo's going to come on and join the coaching staff, and Mason's going to come on and join the team. I do think that he's a lot better than what people are really going to expect him to be. I don't know if ESPN even has him in the top 100. I think 24/7 has him maybe 107, 108. I think that's criminal in this year's draft, or this high school class. I think he's a lot better than what people think. 6'2", going to come in maybe around 175, 180. Decent size, really decent shooter. He's played on the EYBL circuit this year. I think he's a lot better. Like I said, I think he's a lot better. He looks really polished. He looks really comfortable. I mean, his dad's an NBA vet. Played like maybe 14, 15 years. Champion, if I do remember correctly. Like I said, All-Star. He had a really good career. Wasn't just some role player. He was a starter a very serviceable starter for many years. I think he had 52 points one game in Utah. And if he comes in as a micro scorer, I think that's going to be a great bench addition. And maybe that's essentially what they're planning out to be. But here are the two big names that we've gotten in the portal. It's currently the 23rd. Portal closed on the 21st, so no more player. You can't really declare unless the paperwork's been backed up. The two big names we got were Zoom Diallo and Alex Wilkins. And I'll take the next couple minutes kind of just talking to these players individually. I'm a big fan of Zoom Diallo, part of the, what would that be, 23 high school class, I think now? No, 24 high school class. It's going to be now a junior coming into next year. I mean, the lazy comp, I think everybody in the BBN world, Kentucky's world, is just kind of thrown out the Elliot Cadeau comparison. Not really the greatest shooter statistically. Quicker a little bit, bigger frame, can get downhill, stronger guard, can get to the basket, like I said, really good playmaker. I don't know if he's on that playmaking ability or that level as Elliot Cadeau. I really do like Zoom Diallo. Like I said, I was a big fan of him. I think that was the most important player to go get is a point guard. If anybody's watched Kentucky, they need a point guard bad, and they go get essentially. I think that was the best point guard. I mean, yeah, Rob Wright was there. I still would have took Zoom Diallo. But I think that's a really great grab. I think that was a guy that's going to essentially be our point guard one. He's probably going to average like maybe 13, 14 points, hopefully 4 or 5 assists, maybe a steal a game. And if he can jump his three-point shot, which is the question right now, like I said, he's not the greatest shooter. 31%, I think, roughly around. If you can get that to 35, 34%, I think a lot more of those attempts are going to start coming off the catch instead of a lot more on-ball creation off the dribble, like he was expected to do at Washington. I think if he has a lot more of those catch and shoot attempts, he might be able to get that around 36%, maybe even the high end. I mean, we saw Tega Owe go through stretches where he's a really good shooter. I think Zoom Diallo is definitely a little bit better than him. I think he definitely has some comparable traits. I think this is a guy that's going to really want to get downhill. Like I said, stronger. It's probably maybe on the shorter side, 6'3". I do think he's probably going to come in 6'4.5", somewhere around there. I'm a big fan of Zoom. I mean, his name's Zoom, the nickname. He's going to get to the basket. He's fast, quick, twitchy. Not really like a Rob Dillingham type of quick, twitchy guy, but this is a guy that powerful. I really do see a lot of similarities to Otega Owe, like I said. Very, 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 very excited about that addition. If he is our leading scorer next year, when we're going by the team oriented attack, I'm perfectly fine with that because I do believe this is a guy that's going to make a lot of the right decisions, a lot of the correct plays on the offensive side. I think he's going to be a good leader, and I think that was the right decision. I'm very excited to see him play for Kentucky. I've wanted him to come to this team for, I guess, since the last year. I wanted him to transfer after his freshman year. The next guy, I'm not as big. I mean, I'm a big fan of him now. I don't have as much prior history watching. I wasn't a fan of Furman. I don't think anybody really expects me to be a fan of Furman. I think everybody at this point has probably seen his highlights, or maybe even you watched the game in present time. I think there was a 15-2 at the time, UConn versus Furman. He had a really good game. I think he had 21 points, 4 assists, 4 rebounds, and then he hit 4 threes. This guy that's going to come in 6'5", probably is more comparable to a bigger 6'5" point guard. He did turn it over a bit more. He had he averaged like 3.5, 3.6 or 3.8 turnovers a game last year, somewhere in that range. He's just a young guy who's expected to do a lot for that Furman team. He was the engine. As you can see in the visuals, this guy averaged almost 18 points last year as a freshman, and he was severely overlooked. He should not have been at Furman. I think Kentucky is really getting a steal here. I think this is a great addition as well. You're going to pair him up. I think he's going to come in and play your two. Like I said, a lot of the times Kentucky has not had that other ball handler, another point guard. Now you're going to have two of them. Wilkins, even though he's going to be playing a little bit more off ball, I think he is probably served for a bit more on ball role. Again, with Zoom, I think he's going to be a better shooter off the catch. I think easier 3-point shots once you get better looks, easier looks. Your numbers are only going to increase, especially when you're a guy that's shooting a lot of those on-ball shots and you have to create your own. You're only going to increase your numbers, I feel, especially, like I said, once you're getting those easier looks and somebody else doing all the hard work for you. This guy that did knock down 65 3-point shots last year. I think he did take around 170, somewhere in there. He shot 33.2%. So, I mean, there was a great amount of volume, but he didn't really statistically shoot it the greatest. I think he's a lot better of a shooter. I think he's probably going to come in easily probably going to shoot 35, 36, 37% from 3 next year. And this is my personal take. I don't think he's going to be here for his junior year. I think he's going straight to the NBA after this year. That's my opinion. We'll see if he ultimately, I guess, not disappoints, but maybe my expectations are a little bit higher than what some people are expecting. I do think Alex Wilkinson to come in, be a one and done. I see the lazy comp with Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. I don't really see that. I see more or less his cousin, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Still averaged 20 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists this year. Probably going to be the most improved player of the year. I really like his game a lot. Lengthy, 3-level scorer. Like I said, can create his own 3-point shot. Can get to the basket. Really skilled in the mid-range area. And he's just overlooked. This is a guy that probably could have been at Duke. I mean, maybe that's a little bit over-exaggeration. I do think he could have definitely been at one of those blue bloods. I mean, I know some guys have familiarity with Caden Lewis, where he had the UNC, UConn, and Kentucky as his final 3, or maybe Duke was his final 4, I think, somewhere around there. Very similar. I think this guy, he didn't get the recruiting looks, obviously. Now, that's why he played at Furman. He has a talent. He definitely can play at any school that he really wanted to. And I'm saying this here in April. We'll see once it gets into November, once we get into some of the January play, February play. I'm not going to be wrong on that one. Alex Wilkins is going to be probably a first-round top 40 pick next year. And I'm very excited to see him paired up with Zoom Diallo. I really do hope we get Malachi Moreno. I'm going to talk into a couple more people in the future, or in the next slide, I guess. There's some guys that I really do hope we can get. But Zoom Diallo and Alex Wilkins, two great cornerstones of our offense next year. I think those are going to be guys that are going to create a lot of the offense for us, and they're going to do it pretty efficiently. I'm not upset at all with those two picks. Very, very excited for those two players. Moving on, some confirmed targets that I know we're going to have. I mean, I guess you're probably wondering who are these four guys on the right side of the screen? Not really some big names, unfortunately. Justin McBride and Gabe Dimes. I think that's how you pronounce it, Dimes. Currently on a visit right now as I am saying this. I think McBride posted pictures to his Instagram story earlier today showing off the Kentucky blue. It's obviously a really nice jersey. No bias whatsoever. Are these ultimately guys? I'm saying this in April. We obviously haven't seen them playing at SEC level. We haven't seen them play in this league. Are these guys ultimately that I think deserve to play at the SEC level? Again, I'm saying this in April, probably not. This is my first opinion. I am not going to lie to you and say I've watched them all, Justin McBride and Gabe Dimes last year. I did watch USC a couple times last year, maybe 7. I think I maybe saw Dimes. When I remembered him was maybe around January. I know it was recently before Elijah Arenas was going to come back. I know this is when a couple other guys went down with injuries. Just wasn't an interesting. They were interesting, but they just weren't good last year. But Justin McBride, the guy, I think they started off at Oklahoma State with actually Brandon Garrison. I think goes to Nevada his sophomore year, and then I think, and then next now he's coming in from the Sun Belt, JMU. Like 6'7", I think, 6'8". Decent scorer, as you can see, averaged 15 points, almost 6 rebounds. Has some versatility to step outside. He's going to come in around 240. I don't know if I just said that or not, but it's a good addition. I don't know if you're going to want to start him at the 4. I don't know if I personally don't think this is a starting lineup player. This could be a great 7th man. I do think he has the ability to stretch the floor. His shot diet is going to change a lot. I can only see this guy maybe shooting around 6 to 8 shots next year if we do have him as a high volume impact player off the bench. Now, I do think every team needs that post up threat. Do I think this is a guy you're going to want to throw into the post and play through Justin McBride, especially at an SEC level? Probably not. I think now you're probably more regulated to playing inside the offense, being a catch and shoot guy at the corner, above the arc. It is what it is. Not exactly. I'm not the happiest about this targeting. I'm sorry in advance. I think this definitely could be a good player, but I don't think this is somebody that we should be prioritizing as the 3rd guy that's going to sign on. I'm sorry. I completely skipped over Zion Hawthorne. Braden Hawthorne's brother. He's going to be a walk-on. He signed on yesterday. I think today's his birthday, so happy birthday, Zion. But back to this. Gabe Dimes, 7'5" guy. I think he came from Youngstown State the first 2 years of his career, transferred to USC. It's going to be interesting. If he does ultimately sign, I think you're going to boot Reese Potter down probably back to the depths of the bench again, essentially. Maybe he plays 8 to 12 minutes a game, gives you some length, and it's hard to score inside the paint for a couple minutes, but I don't really think you're ever going to want him to space the floor. I don't know how well of a playmaker, not really playmaker, but I don't know how well he's going to be able to fit in the Mark Pope system with the backdoor cuts and especially the bounce passes. I think it's all going to be over the head, and I don't know how I don't know how great of a passer he is ultimately. From what I've seen, it's not somebody you're ultimately going to want to run any of those sets through. I don't know the direction kind of what we're going with, but these are 2 guys play. I mean, these can be, if we get a couple other prospects, I think these are going to be great additions. Minus the great, it completely changes everything. I'll be back to talk about it, but with the current roster that we have in those 2 additions, what is there, 15 teams in the SEC? I think we finished 16th somehow, essentially is what I'm saying. I don't like that. Those as our main targets right now. Sorry. Jerome Morton. I'm a little bit more excited about Jerome Morton. I think this is probably my second favorite of all this group. It's a guy that's from Kentucky. I think he's from Lexington, somewhere around there. Gabe Dines is from like Independence or something. Probably should mention that. Played against Reed Shepherd in high school. I guess it's cool. I mean, it's recognizable. Ultimately goes to Morehead State his first 2 years. 6'4" combo guard, can play on the ball, play a little bit off the ball. He's probably going to play a lot more off the ball if he does commit. Can be like the 7th to 8th man. I don't expect him to be our 6th man. Maybe he is. I think he definitely has the ability to potentially come in and score 5 points a game next year. Maybe average somewhere around there. Pretty decent shooter. I think he shot somewhere around like 38%, 40% this previous year at Washington State. This is a guy I think that a lot of that volume also did come on the dribble. Not really big into analytics. I think not big into analytics, but I think around 45% of those shots did come off the dribble. Huge amount of numbers come off the dribble. This guy, like I said, is going to move a little bit more off the dribble. Maybe he can shoot 42%, 43%, and be a great lights out shooter. And that number increase to maybe 6.4 points per game. That could be interesting. I mean, we definitely, like I said, we struggle with guard depth. This would give us another guy that can at least run somewhat of the offense. Decent playmaker. You can see he averaged 2.6 assists. This is a guy that you're probably going to want to run your offense through with SEC. In the SEC? No, but like I said, maybe 8 minutes here, 12 minutes, 15 minutes off the bench, 18 minutes on the high end if you have some foul trouble. I think that can be some great contribution minutes for Jerome Norton here. This guy is going to be a senior next year, so he has some experience. I can't think of the word. He has some experience. I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. I mean, I think that's probably one of the most exciting players that we have on this little bit of a graphic before. I mean, we have confirmed targets, but not really an SEC basketball player. That's essentially what I'm saying. I don't think there's any bias towards a small school. Obviously, I just talked to the world about two guys that come from smaller schools, especially the Furman grab with Alex Wilkins. You can come from a smaller school and be good. UConn, one of my favorite teams outside of Kentucky. They've proven year in and year out you can do it. I just don't think Jerome Morton's going to be one of those guys, or the rest of these guys. Devin Williams, probably the most interesting guy, coming from UCLA. He started at UCLA. I think they're part of the 24 class. Plays that freshman year. Doesn't really play too much. I think he plays 10 games ultimately. Redshirt's essentially would be a sophomore year to develop and grow. Doesn't play under Mick Cronin, and obviously in a redshirt year. This year decides, hey, Mick, I'm going to go transfer to a lower level. I want to play. No shade to him. He goes and plays at FAU, which I think is one of the best stepping stones for talent to come back to a higher level. I mean, I won't go into that, but there's some numerous amounts of players that have gone to FAU in the past couple of years and really been great college players once they left there. But this guy, I think, statistically, I think he would finish third or somewhere around there for blocks per game, coming in at 2.6. That could be really, really great for a bench prospect. Especially, I mean, going from him to Brandon Garrison to him, that could be really interesting. I think he's also a pretty decent rebounder. He's going to come in around 6'10". Not really the greatest playmaker. I think he can make those backdoor passes a little bit better than Dines would. I think he shot maybe 54 threes somewhere around there last year. So he does have ability to step on three, shoot the three. I think he only shot like 30.6%, somewhere around there if I'm remembering correctly. So he's not the greatest shooter, but he definitely has the ability to step out and do it. That would be a really interesting prospect. That would become a must grab if Malachi Moreno somehow decides that he's going to the draft. I don't see that happening, but if he did come, I think that would be a great player to then transition to replace Moreno in a year. Even if Moreno, I do think they both can coexist too. I don't think they're going to play a lot together. I know Pope experimented a little bit with the double big lineup. We won't talk on Pope's lineups, but I think it's very interesting that maybe we can get this guy to come in. Pope, I know, wants to run a lot of guys in his rotation. Maybe he comes in and he plays 16 minutes to 22 minutes a night. Really efficient backup big. Dunks a lot, can space the floor, protects the rim really well. I think that'd be a great addition, especially pairing with Zoom Diallo and Alex Wilkins in the pick and roll game. Really excited with that target. Inevitably, I don't think we're going to get all four of these guys. I really do hope it's going to be Devin Williams, Jerome, and Justin McBride. We'll see what happens ultimately, but I do have some other guys that I'm personally really excited about. They're still in the portal. I think there's some guys that if we do get them, this changes this team from being maybe middle of the pack of the SEC to maybe even getting into the Elite Eight, Sweet 16 run, and we'll get into that here in a second. Now, obviously, me being Jalen, here are my favorite targets. Late edition, I think on the 21st, like I said, that was the day they closed the portal. Tony Yesufu, I am personally really high on this prospect. This is a guy that did ultimately have Kentucky as one of his finalists. Really, really explosive athlete. Very similar to Anthony Edwards. I don't know how I could almost figure out one of the faces of the league. Very, very similar to Anthony Edwards. Isn't really the greatest shooter. I think he only shot like 29.3% this past year. Baylor was a mess. They didn't have a point guard. They didn't have a center. This is a guy that can get to the downhill like the best of them. Pretty similar, once again, to Otegaway. I think this is that three that you'd want. Like 6'5", very strong, very physical. Could play up and guard. People are probably around 6'8". And I'm a really big fan of his jump shot. I know that it really didn't go in too much. You can see he hit 53 threes. He took a lot of them. I like the form a lot. The form's really nice. There's not a hitch like Otegaway. There's not this weird slow setup or something. It's a really pretty shot. It just hasn't gone in. And I think it's pretty common with a lot of freshmen. The 3-point line's a little bit step back. I mean, he's creating a lot of shots for himself. Like I said, he doesn't have a point guard. You pair him up with Zoom Diallo. You pair him up with Alex Wilkins. I mean, this is a guy I'm instantly probably throwing all the Tyron Stokes money at him. As you can see, I don't even have Stokes on this graphic. I'm tired of the Stokes, the drama. We don't need him. I mean, if he commits, he commits. Great. I'd love to watch him next year. You cannot put all your focus into only going after Tyron Stokes. And for that reason, I do think Tony Yesufu would be really, really interesting. Another guy that's probably familiar to some people. He didn't really play a whole lot the first half, but the second half, he cooked everybody on Kentucky. Alan Graves out of Santa Clara. He's a guy that's currently going through the NBA draft process like Tony Yesufu, like Malachi Moreno. Is from Louisiana. I think LSU has all of one player on their team currently. They're probably going to throw everything and then some at Alan Graves being a player from there. Will Wade is looking for his next guy, his next prospect, and the return back to LSU. We won't even get into that yet, but this is a guy that's a really good rebounder, really good passer, really good playmaker, can play in the post, can shoot it. Future NBA guy. I don't think that he's going to go this year, but if anybody were to stay in the class, I do think this is a guy that can maybe even get into the lottery if some team really ultimately believed him. I think this maybe he can go top 24. I don't think he's going to go. And if he does come back, college, I think this would be an absolute must grab. Once again, I do not think Kentucky has the chance to get him like I do think with Tony Yesufu, but in a perfect world, why not throw him up there? Nico Bundalo, I think that's how I'm pronouncing his name. Sorry for butchering it. I've been a fan. I think maybe junior year. I don't know. There was a video on Instagram. It was like, how can you not want to work if you don't have any offers? How can you not want to work as hard as you can every single day? Like what? I want that kid to play for my team. What? I think he was top 7. He had Kentucky. He ultimately removed us when he went to his top 4. You're back in the portal. Kentucky needs a 4. It's a guy that's like I think 6'8", 6'9", 6'10", maybe somewhere in that range. Can play your power forward, as you can see. Great size. Can put it on the floor a little bit. Can pass it a little bit. Can shoot it a little bit. I think that's a dream to play in Mark Pope's system. And he's probably gonna be the hardest worker on your team next year. Coming from your power forward position as a younger guy, you're probably gonna have him. Ideally, I don't think Pope's gonna be here for a few more years, but if he was, that's a guy you're going to want to build around for Mark Pope essentially. You're going to want, not build around, but that's a project player. He has the energy, he has the want, he's the drive. That's a guy you want on your team, essentially. He did not play a lot of Ole Miss. He needs some better talent ahead of him. Something Chest, I can't think. Corey Chest, Malik Dia, name a few, are ahead of him. I think he's a pretty good prospect. I think this guy's maybe he's going to end up in the NBA, probably be a 3 or 4 year player in college, but that's the one you want to go get. I think that him and Tony Yesufu would be a no-brainer for me. Moving to Abdi Basher Jr., this is a guy we also recruited last year. Shocker, Pope whiffed. Goes to Kansas State and absolutely lights it up. One of the only bright spots on that Kansas State team where the coach ultimately calls them all out and calls them losers, essentially. Gets fired. But this is a guy that averaged 13 points, almost shot 45% from three. He hit 67 threes last year. I think he's also a 6'7 wing. Will be a senior. Not as good of a shooter, obviously, as Kobe Barea. I don't think anybody will ever be as good of a shooter as Kobe Barea in the college level. But he's pretty good. Probably a step down from him. This could be a guy, again, probably 53s easily. I'd slide him into the three-point, or the lineup, the starting lineup, have Cam Williams come off the bench. You get, I don't know, maybe Jalen Stewart off of this list. I think that's a no-brainer starter. I think that's a great addition. I think that has to be somebody we target. I want him more than a lot of these other guys that we're going to talk about. But my next guy, Joson Sanon, is a sophomore coming from Arizona State, then transferring to St. John's last year. Really had a down year, did not shoot it too well. This guy is more or less a shooting guard. He can fill it up. He can be a really good scorer. I'd love him a lot more than Jerome Morton. Probably not as realistic to get him over Jerome Morton. He's probably going to want a little bit more volume. He's probably going to want to start. I do think this guy is going to be an NBA guy in the future. But he can shoot it. Coming around 6'4", 6'5", off-ball guy, like I said. I don't know how much he's really going to offer on the defensive side of the floor. I think he's more or less just hop in the portal to try to find another position where he can start and ultimately grow his game. I think this is a guy that can average 15 points easily. If we get him, we get him. I don't ultimately know if I'd want him more than Jerome Morton now that I'm saying it out loud. If we get him, we get him. Not one of my bigger prospects, but I do know we reached out to him as soon as I was making this graphic, so we'll throw him in there. Another guy, Ryder Frost, did not really play too much this freshman year at Northern Name. Former four-star recruit. Really, really, really good shooter. As you can see, he shot 44% as well as Abdi Basher. Made 23s last year, not the greatest number-wise, not the most amount, but more minutes, more volume, more shot attempts. If he gets like 3 or 4 threes a game, if he takes Trent Noah's role, he's going to shoot probably around 41, 42%. Maybe we win a couple more games last year is what I'm saying. So, very similar to Trent Noah, size and frame, 6'6". I think Noah can flex down a little bit to the 4. I think Ryder probably will flex up a little bit more to the 2. I don't know how much playmaking he's really going to offer you, but I do think this is a guy that can really space the floor and shoot it, and that's what you need around those other 2 playmakers, as you can see this trend with guys that can just shoot it. And I think that would also be a really great addition. Nobody's really heard any news of them reaching out to him. I don't know if anybody's really reached out to Ryder Frost really too much that I've heard at this point. Dream scenario, I'd like him. My next guy, Jalen Stewart, 2-time champion. Coming from UConn, like I said, one of my favorite teams aside from Kentucky. Great program. I think that's a guy that can instantly step in and be your 4. Tony Yesufu and Jalen Stewart, those are my dream 2. Honestly, right now, I'm throwing Abdi Basher, and I would be the happiest Kentucky fan of this offseason. And there's not a lot of those. So I do think it's a great addition. I think Abdi Basher and Jalen Stewart and Tony, like I said, it'll be great. This guy that's going to give you some defensive versatility. It's like 6'6" to 6'8", somewhere in there. It's going to work really hard. Can offer some spacing of the floor. A little bit lower of a volume guy. Can rebound a little bit. Great. I wouldn't say great. Maybe good offensive rebounder. Good defensive rebounder. Gives you defensive size versatility, like I said. He has the awareness and IQ playing in that UConn system to be able to make the right pass. I don't see a world where that's not a great addition for the Pope offense. I don't know if we're going to reach out to him. Maybe he goes back to UConn. This is another guy. I haven't heard much from him. Just jumped in the portal. But I would personally, this would be a no-brainer steal for me. Next, wrapping up these last couple guys. I'm a big fan of the OTE program. I know not all those players are always the greatest. I see players translating more or less into roles and as superstars. That's just the way I look at things. I think everything has to be a system. And once that system works together, you guys can. That's how you win championships, when you bring everything together. Thomas Bassong. Every team needs your freak defender. I don't think we have one currently. This is a guy that could pick you up from the parking lot, I feel like, and still being 6'8", that bigger size and frame, freak athlete, like I said. You need it. That's somewhere you throw in right in the starting lineup and throw him on somebody's point guard. I love it. Probably can guard 1 through 4 in the college level. I don't know if anybody's really watched Duke too much. Dame Sarr, his level of defense. Iowa State's like Killian Torrey, something like that. It's Thomas Bassong. That's kind of that's my comparison. I really do think he's a great lengthy defender. Luke Laux at Florida State loved him this year. He completely came out of nowhere and stole a starting spot from someone. Played a lot of minutes towards the end of the year, and I think this guy that's maybe he's going to come in, put on a little bit more weight, maybe boost his 3-point shot a lot. Similar to Jalen Stewart, this is a guy that you're going to want for high volume. Maybe he comes in and shoots 6 shots a game, but you're going to be a fan favorite of him because he's going to work as hard as he can. Probably going to dunk on a couple people, and he's going to be a problem on the defensive end. That'd be one of my favorite additions, too. Those 4, I think, would be a no-brainer. Keeping this L shape, I guess, on the outside, and the last one, I really, like I did say, I like I liked Devin Williams' game a lot. I don't think we're going to get Alan Graves, as I said. Don't really care for Gabe Dines. I'm sorry if you're hearing this, but not really the biggest fan personally. Maybe we get you. Peyton Marshall. Hear me out. It's a bigger frame, like 300 pounds. I don't know how many minutes you're ultimately going to be able to get out of him. Did play in Missouri last year before he came to Georgia Tech this previous year. He has the size. He has the playmaking ability. I just don't think that can't be a bad addition, right? You need somebody that can play all the posts, and I think to be a championship team, you need somebody that's going to play all the post. But he also has that touch where I think you can also play him at the top of the key. You can be a little bit of a hub, hit some of those right playmaking passes, the Brandon Garrison passes, the Mari Williams passes that we've seen. And then on the other side, I think he's a sneaky defender. Like, he's 300 pounds. I mean, there's not very many college guys that can, move him the post on either end. This guy you can see 5 to 6 points out of him next year, 3 to 4 rebounds. He's already posted a block at that level. I don't know if that's going to be translatable. Not the greatest athlete. He's a lot lengthier than what you expect. I'm a big fan of Peyton Marshall. I do think somebody's going to grab him. I don't know if it's going to be at a high level. I mean, I tried to keep this realistic somewhat guys that probably could potentially see it play Kentucky, but at this point, I could play Kentucky, it feels like. I think they've reached out to pretty much everybody, so why not go with some lower guys? I think this is ACC primarily for the rest of them. I think these would be some great additions to pair out with the rest of the guys. Like I said, I'm a big fan of Zoom Diallo. Big fan of Alex Wilkins. You got to fill it out, though. You can't have those 2 guys come here and then instantly leave next year. They're NBA guys, whether you believe it or not. I think a great pairing would be Tone Deyesu, and then you have a big 3. Man, I hope he can close. I hope I'm coming back in next week and man, I told you we're getting one of these guys, but man, at this point in time, it's not looked too great. I do wonder where we're going to go from this direction, but that's pretty much all I have at this point. We're going to close it out on that, and I will be back on Sunday. Like I said, I'm a Houston Rockets fan. That series is over. I don't care what anybody says. It's 2-0. LeBron doesn't lose in 2-0. I'll be back talking about the failures of Ime Udoka and why I think that is ultimately the wrong decision for the Houston Rockets. I'll be back on that on Sunday, and until then, I'll catch you guys next time.